Shalom, Yahweh Shemel Shabbat to the brothers, Yahweh Shemel Thun, Bahashim Yahweh to the sisters. This is Priest and Officer Hoya Allah, the Mountain of the Most High. Once again from ISUPK headquarters, live and direct, Tuesday night brotherhood class. Clap it up. We in the building, we in the building. Once again, it is going down right here in ISUPK headquarters, dropping these classes for all blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. We are live again from ISUPK headquarters, of course, under Commander General Yohana. It's going down today for this brotherhood class. Ooh wee, how I love brotherhood class. Yeah, right. And brotherhood class is one of, if not the most important class that we can possibly put on a weekly basis. When we come into the truth and we give our lives over to Christ, one of the first things we quickly learn is that brotherhood is a goddamn weapon. That's right. We do further research and learn that mostly all of our problems that happen on a material level in this disgusting land could be easily solved by weaponizing brotherhood. We see this consistently, man. And it's one thing that we have to always drive home in the minds of blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, because brotherhood can be very confusing for our people here in America. It's a very confusing thing. If you're not in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana, then you may be confused as to how we should conduct ourselves with regards to brotherhood. It's a very confusing thing. I'll give you an example. Let's take Malcolm X. Now, for all intents and purposes, I believe Malcolm X truly cared for our people. I believe that he did honestly want the best interests of our people. I believe that that was his mission and that was his goal. Malcolm X worked right here in Harlem. He had an office right here in Harlem. He did a lot of his work right here in Harlem. And I truly believe that Malcolm X loved black people. And when he walked out of his office right here in Harlem and saw how many people were high on heroin and strung out in the streets of Harlem, I believe that that deeply moved him. And I believe that that motivated him to want to do the work in order to help fix black people here in Harlem. I truly believe that about Malcolm X. The thing is that in order to help the people in Harlem, Malcolm X's first order of business would be to go and pray 5 times a day to the God of another nation. That God of another nation just happens to be the God of the very nation who is manufacturing the very goddamn heroin that got black people strung out in Harlem. The goddamn Ishmaelites. Malcolm X seriously wants to administer brotherhood, but he is confused as to how to do so. He's over there in goddamn Saudi Arabia worshiping and circling the rock along with the very people that's poisoning his people. Malcolm X is circling the rock, praying to get the drugs out of Harlem. The heathens are circling the rock right along with him, praying to get more drugs in Harlem. It's impossible to be able to properly administer brotherhood without coming into the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. That's right. You'll cease to be confused as regards to how to administer proper brotherhood and have the actions of brotherhood and the love of brotherhood that goes along with the love of the Most High. You learn that right here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana. Yeah, right. Let me get that first scripture, Baba Kashar. Salaki, I'm in the building with Priest and Officer 500, Officer Sha'al. Give him a hand. It's going down, of course.
Mark chapter 12, verse 31. And the second is like, namely this: thou shalt love thy neighbor.
Salaki, read the verse up, sir.
God. Verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
This is where they asking Christ the most important commandments.
Right.
And Christ is telling them, what's the most important commandment?
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment.
Damn right. That's the first commandment. To love the Most High with all your everything. To keep the goddamn commandments. Christ said the most important thing that we can do is love the Most High. Slakia. This is something that we constantly have to understand.
God.
Salakia. 1 minute, Salakia. Right there. All right, give me a 1 in the chat if I'm not so much off with regards to the camera, if you can see me clearly. All right, Most High in Christ. Now, can you read that again from the top, Baba Kishar? Salam, brother.
This is Mark, chapter 12, verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength.
How do we do that? How do we do that? I mean, back when I was growing up, I thought loving the Lord meant you go to goddamn Christian church, jump up and down, spit up, mumble weird things, then fall out on the goddamn ground, get up, leave, go get a drink, and say, I love the Lord.
Right.
Let's hear what the Bible says. Give me 1 John 5 and 2.
God. First John chapter 5 and verse 2. But now this we know, that we love the children of the Most High, that we love the Most High,
Right.
and keep His commandments.
We do what?
Keep His commandments.
We do what?
Keep His commandments.
Well, that's how you're going to love the Most High. That's how you're going to complete the most important commandment, like Christ just said. Let's go back.
God. Mark chapter 12, verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God.
Keep going.
Verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This
Right.
is the first commandment.
Right. Keep going.
Verse 31. And the second is life, namely this.
Say it again.
And the second is life, namely this.
Keep going.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You should love your brother like yourself.
Right.
Keep going.
There is none other commandment greater than these.
There's no other commandment greater than these. Every single law and every single thing we were commanded to do hangs on this very concept,
Right.
Brotherhood. The Most High designed it. In our society, you are supposed to be vigilant about brotherhood.
Right.
In this society, we are vigilant about getting money. In the society the Most High wants, the same amount of time you think about money, you should be thinking about whether or not you offended your brother.
Right.
You should be extra cautious, as to not offend your brothers. You should be extra cautious to be courteous to your brothers.
Right.
This is nearly impossible in this disgusting nation. Not only do we have an oppressor who is looking to destroy us at every single corner we turn, but he has help right here in our goddamn communities. This brotherhood class is entitled Wicked Witches because we're going to showcase the witches that completely destroy brotherhood in our communities. I watched that goddamn Bumpy Johnson show. Y'all seen that goddamn Bumpy Johnson show? The Godfather of Harlem. The Godfather of Harlem. They take this show and try to make Bumpy Johnson the goddamn greatest thing that ever walked up and down Harlem. The very title of the show is stupid. The Godfather is a fictional character from a Mario Puzo novel entitled The Godfather. The fictional character, Don Corleone, the entire premise of the goddamn movie is that he was a Sicilian that refused to sell heroin. He got shot by the Turk for not selling heroin. He refused to get in the heroin business. Not goddamn Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy Johnson is not like the Godfather from the Mario Puzo novel. Bumpy Johnson sold every goddamn line of heroin he could get his hands on right here in Harlem. You watch this goddamn Bumpy Johnson show. Let me summarize the whole Bumpy Johnson show for you, okay? This is a show about a group of Italian gangsters in conjunction with the U.S. government, fake black Christian politicians here in Harlem, the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X, and Bumpy Johnson all conspiring to sell heroin in Harlem. That's the whole goddamn movie. I mean, goddamn, they made Commander General Hunter work and the work of the Lord easy on this one. They just summed up every goddamn thing the school's been screaming since 1969. The government and our leaders conspire to put drugs in our goddamn neighborhood. Right. We solved the goddamn case. We could close the school down. We could goddamn shut camp down in Harlem, just take a flat screen TV out there and play the goddamn Bumpy Johnson show. It's only a dramatic depiction of everything we've been screaming on the same goddamn corner since 1969. Right. Bumpy Johnson is not a man to be uplifted. Right. As some great goddamn thing in Harlem.
That's right.
Bumpy Johnson was used as an instrument of our destruction. And that goddamn show is disgusting. The worst thing about the show is that we don't see Commander General Yohana's name in the credits. Right. They should be sending him his goddamn commission off this show. This show shows the boldness of our oppressor to be able to come out publicly and say everything they denied since 1969. We're not putting drugs in your goddamn neighborhood. You are. You're saying it. And we're going to get into this today. Answer this question for me. Anybody, answer this question for me. How the hell can a group of broke Italian immigrants come into this country and within less than 20 years, they have enough power to buy the whole goddamn country of Cuba? They got casinos. They're running some of the greatest legitimate businesses coast to coast. They took over goddamn Las Vegas. How the hell can a group of immigrants, broke immigrants, create one of the largest criminal organizations? Hey, listen, forget criminal organizations, period. Because all of our oppressors' organizations are criminal. Right. How are they able to do that? Give me Psalms 83. How are they able to do that? Man, what we are seeing here is a level of witchcraft unlike anything. Right. Unlike anything you could imagine. I mean, you sit there and watch that stupid History Channel. And they'll tell you about some goddamn witch who is some 90-year-old white woman who lives in a goddamn tower mixing tomato paste and curry together to make a goddamn potion. That ain't nothing. Bumpy Johnson is a goddamn witch.
Right.
Was. And them goddamn drug dealers right outside your house right now are practicing a form of witchcraft that has kept our people sedated and down since the days of Bumpy Johnson.
Right.
Let me know you got that, Bumpy Sean.
First verse.
Come.
Psalms chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence.
Keep not thy silence. Keep going.
O Most High Power.
Right.
Hold not thy peace.
Right.
And be not still. O Most High Power. Verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult.
Who?
Thy enemies make a tumult.
The goddamn Italian Mafia. Who?
Thy enemies make a tumult.
The goddamn CIA. Who?
Thy enemies make a tumult.
Goddamn the cross-dressers from the FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover, and his henchmen. Who?
Thy enemies make a tumult.
Our goddamn enemies. Keep going.
And they that hate thee have lifted up their head.
They hate us. They lifted up their heads. Gentleman Hyman put it out not too long ago. You can watch any goddamn Martin Scorsese film and know that the Italians' entire plan to get rich was to sell dope to black people. They got a whole goddamn scene about it in The Godfather. In Goodfellas, Casino, The Irishman. I mean, goddamn, if you want to know how much, European immigrants hate black people, just watch the whole goddamn Martin Scorsese lineup.
Right.
Keep going.
Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel.
They did what?
Taking crafty counsel.
They did what?
Taking crafty counsel.
What the hell is the French Connection?
Taking crafty counsel.
It's them taking crafty counsel. We ain't never seen a coalition of white people come together and work so efficiently and peaceful other than when it's time to sell dope to blacks and Hispanics. You got heroin growing all the way on the other side of the goddamn world. Grow, package, manufactured, refined. That's not an easy process. This is not you whipping up a half a goddamn gram in your grandmother's kitchen. This is big business. A humongous industrial-sized industry to pump drugs into Harlem. They conspired. They conspired in order to do this. This wasn't by accident. How do we know they conspired? They told us in every goddamn Martin Scorsese film. They said we can, well, all right, fine. We'll let us sell drugs. Just make sure you only sell it to the blacks in Harlem. If you live in Harlem and your family grew up in Harlem and you have family members that was victims to heroin who paid for the lavish lifestyles of the goddamn Italians. Right. And I don't even like saying the Italian mafia. We're talking about the Italian government. I mean, goddamn, when Trump said Mexicans was coming in from what you call it, and raping white people, he said Mexico needs to pay for the war. Am I right or wrong? Right. Trump said because Mexican immigrants are coming into the United States causing havoc, then the Mexican government needs to pay. Yes or no? Right. Well, the goddamn Italian government needs to pay.
That's right.
They subjected our people to goddamn 100 years of chemical warfare right here in Harlem. Harlem paid for all of those goddamn casinos. It is a horrible and disgusting thing, man. Slakia. Let me get Isaiah 45 and 16.
Right.
Y'all brothers better get up in this ISUPK, man. And let me tell you something. Any movie producer or anybody come out with anything regarding Harlem on or after 1969, you better have a scene in there showing the priests and prophets. We are Harlem.
That's right.
We are Harlem. You look at that goddamn Bumpy Johnson show, all those other goddamn religious groups that was out there doing so much for black people, where are they now? Where are they now? We still right here in Harlem. We're not in the goddamn state building. We're in the projects in Harlem.
Right.
That's where we at. We with our people. Where we've been since 1969. We are Harlem. Read what you got.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 16. They shall be ashamed.
They shall be ashamed. That's why we got brotherhood class. That's why we out on the goddamn street corners. All those other fake groups that got ran out, that did nothing for the people, your disgusting Christian pastor, that disgusting Adam Clayton Powell, they gonna all be ashamed. Keep going.
And also confounded.
They all confounded. They never able to figure out how to fix our people. Keep going.
All of them.
Every single last one of them. Every single last one of them. 1969, we still standing right here in Harlem.
That's right.
Keep going.
They shall go to They shall go to confusion together.
Confusion together. All confusion together. You got goddamn Malcolm X. Malcolm X is in the Nation of Islam to help get heroin and get his people from off of heroin. He's working with Bumpy Johnson. The Nation of Islam turned against Malcolm X. Malcolm X comes to Harlem and gets protection from who? Bumpy Johnson. Malcolm X needs protection in Harlem so that he can teach people to get off of heroin. And in order to get the protection, he's going to hire the very man putting heroin in Harlem.
Right.
Read it again. They shall be what?
They shall go to confusion.
They all goddamn confused. Keep going.
That are makers of idols.
They are makers of idols. Makers of idols. That money, those drugs, makers of idols. We still standing doing brotherhood class.
Right.
Every Tuesday night right here in ISUPK headquarters. Check us out. Check us out. We still here. We still in Harlem. We still in the projects. We at the corner store. We are here for violent felons.
Right.
Brothers on parole. Probation. Prostitutes. Murderers. Bring us your poor, your sick, huddled masses. That's what the ISUPK is for blacks and Hispanics.
Right.
It's like a goddamn Ellis Island. We still here in Harlem. Go ahead, sis. Slakia. Yeah, that was 16. What we are talking about here, man, is we are talking about the widespread exploitation of our people in this act of chemical warfare. It is our job to charge our oppressors with our oppression.
Right.
I'm sick of hearing this goddamn argument. Oh, look, they're drug addicts. It's their decision. And the Christian church. Damn right. Give him a hand. And the goddamn Christian church. Drug dealing is a disgusting act. that completely destroys our community.
Right.
It is anti-brotherhood. Let me get Slakia. Let me get Deuteronomy 18 and 10.
Wow.
Deuteronomy 18 and 10. Witchcraft. What is a witch? What is a witch? We have to look at certain characteristics of a witch.
Right.
You know? Let's get this real quick. Whatever you got to say.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or daughter to pass through the fire.
Making his son or daughter pass through the fire. What are we talking about here, man? We're talking about child sacrifice.
Right.
A horrible act. A disgusting act.
Right.
You know? Like nowadays, you don't got to go into the goddamn woods with a baby and hang him upside down from a tree and beat drums and do all types of weird rituals to do a goddamn child sacrifice. It's happening in the goddamn abortion clinics right now.
That's right.
Right now as we speak. Another disgusting evil act. Keep going.
Or that uses divination.
What is divination? What is that? Anybody? Divination is trying to tell the future. You're walking into some goddamn back hallway with some weird gypsy dog thinking that she gonna sit down and read your goddamn palm and tell you whether or not you're gonna get bust upside your head, you know, walking home from work next week.
Right.
Most High spoke against that. Keep going.
Or an observer of time.
Or an observer of times. I can't leave my house on Friday the 13th. I'm gonna holler to the goddamn bed.
Right.
Something bad's gonna happen to me. The only time I'm an observer of times is when, you know, when the goddamn bill collector's calling. You know? Not supposed to be no observer of times.
Right.
Keep going.
Or an enchanter.
What's an enchanter? What's an enchanter? We're going to get to that in a minute. What's an enchanter? Keep going.
Or a witch.
Or a witch. Or a witch. Drug dealers are witches in the black community.
Right.
What are some of the characteristics of a witch? Let's pull it up real quick. Let's pull it up real quick because I found a little of this pretty interesting.
I got the definition of enchanter.
Okay, Consul, let's get the definition of enchanter.
Enchanter, a person who uses magic or sorcery, especially to put someone or something under a spell.
Say it again.
A person who uses magic or sorcery, especially to put someone or something under a spell.
To put someone or something under a spell. Have you been down to 116th Street lately?
Right.
Have you walked down there? Somebody's under a goddamn spell.
Right.
Everybody out there. Slakia, go ahead.
I was going to say the Christian church music, very spelling.
Yo.
It catches, when it catches, you can get it.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. That Christian church music, forget about it. You know? That Christian church music, forget about it. But we're gonna get into that a little on down the line, man. And show how this witchcraft and being an enchanter goes hand in hand, especially in these days. You know? So now when we read through some of the characteristics of being a witch, one thing we consistently see is that witches are always cited for doing mischief where? In their own neighborhoods. It is a consistent theme. Witches conduct their craft in their own neighborhoods. And here we have the definition of neighborhood witches. Neighborhood witches are the products of neighborhood tensions. They're found in villages and communities where the inhabitants largely rely on them. Does that sound familiar?
Wow.
Such accusations follow the breaking of social norm, such as the failure to return a borrowed item, and any person part of the normal social exchange could potentially fall under suspicion. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, you had a question? Sorry, let me get this real quick. And so one thing that we see is that witches, a lot of times for their activities, you always hear about them doing mischief in their own communities. That's very important to understand, in their own communities.
Salak, if I may.
Concept.
What was that paragraph you put? And you said and they rely on the communities.
Right. Right here.
Can you go over that again?
Concept, accusations.
Right there.
Okay. Neighborhood witches are the product of neighborhood tensions in village communities where the inhabitants largely rely on each other. Each accusation follows the breaking of social norm, such as the following to return a borrowed item. And then it goes on. It goes on about how they're suspected of suspicion of doing certain things. Right. And so there's always suspicious things going on.
That part when they say they rely on each other, are you talking about that the people rely on the witches?
No. It's talking about it's talking about the people rely on each other and the witches.
Huh.
Like they're talking about the society. The society has a high reliance on each other.
Huh.
Now, the medical arts played a significant and sometimes pivotal role in the witchcraft controversies. Not only were physicians and surgeons the principal profession arbiters for determining natural versus pharmaceutical signs and symptoms of disease, they occupied key legislative, judicial, and ministerial roles related to witchcraft proceedings. 46 male physician surgeons are named in court transcripts or other contemporary source materials related to witchcraft. You know, and so what we're looking at here, we're looking at that witches at certain stages are always mixed in with the medical craft, with medicines, with healing. You know, and then there's one other characteristic that I wanted to bring out. Let me see here. Probably the best well-known characteristic of a witch is their ability to cast a spell, a set of words, formula, or verse, a ritual, or combination of these employed to do magic. Spells traditionally were cast by many methods, such as the inscription of runes on an object that give the object magical powers. Let me ask you a question. An inscription on an object that gives it magical powers. Have anybody ever heard of Frank Lucas?
What?
Frank Lucas was a heroin dealer here in Harlem, right? What was the name of his heroin? Sir?
The blue magic.
Blue magic. Blue magic. An inscription on an object used to employ magic.
Right.
A goddamn witch. A goddamn witch. What should be our number one indicator of whether or not it's a witch? Because the spells work. The spells work. Aren't we still in Harlem? We out on the goddamn street corner every day. The goddamn spell works.
Right.
Every drug dealer does what a witch does. And they do it ritualistically. Go ahead, sis. They do it ritualistically. Meaning this. Look, go ahead.
Jack, if I may, this overdraw of mine, I think a long time ago, I either cut it from him or over the Shalaya Allah. There's a precept in the pocket book.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you the procedure, the moving, the
Pull it up.
Let's
get that.
I have my pocket book. That's what I was looking for. I have
Okay.
You rephrase it?
Yeah, let's get that.
It tells you.
We're going to get that.
That's not the pocket.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I forgot mine.
I'll look it up. So.
Yeah, man, this ritualistic process and being in the spirit of drug dealing. Like, I remember when I was coming up, man, you know, unfortunately, we sold drugs. We from the projects in the Bronx, we sold drugs, man. And it was such a ritualistic process. First and foremost, nothing came before it. Nothing came before it. If you came and knocked on my door at 3 p.m. or you came and knocked on my door at 3 a.m., nothing came before me seeing that customer. You know? It's a disgusting ritualistic process. And what it does is it provides a non-stop, you know, food supply for this hungry prison industrial complex that we have in this disgusting country, man. And so you see generations and generations and generations of young boys playing the block and going to jail, and playing the block and going to jail, and playing the block and going to jail.
Right.
It's a goddamn ritual.
Right.
We see it played out over and over again here in Harlem, man, and it's just as disgusting as it can be. Let me get Joel 28 and 28.
Wow.
We're getting back to brotherhood, man. Brotherhood is the key to all of this. Brotherhood is the key to all of this. A lot of these things can be solved simply by employing brotherhood. Right. Let's take the example that we took earlier with Malcolm X. Let's quickly rehash it. Malcolm X is a good brother. Solid. Smart. Street smart. Book smart. Motivated. Loves his people. And he's in them streets doing the work every day. Malcolm X. Right? Malcolm X sees his people destroyed here in Harlem. He wants to help his people in Harlem. He does not do drugs, and he doesn't think that any black or Hispanic or black person do drugs. Yet Malcolm X worships the God of the very people who are manufacturing the drugs, giving it to the Italians so they can sell it in Harlem. Malcolm X prays to the same God as the people who are selling us drugs. Malcolm X walks around the goddamn rock with the same disgusting Ishmaelites who are praying to their God that they can sell Harlem as much drugs as possible and make them as prosperous as possible.
Right.
That's why you go over there to goddamn Saudi Arabia now, they got the most booming goddamn economy you can find. We sitting over here still on heroin. Malcolm X wants to employ brotherhood. He wants to help his brothers. Unfortunately, if you're not in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana, you can be very confused as to how to apply this to your community, to your brothers. We have to come back to the scripture. We have to come back to our law. How could Malcolm X have rectified this? Very simple. No, Bumpy Johnson, I cannot help you because you're a goddamn drug dealer. Although I know it may seem like brotherhood if I do help you, it's not going to be brotherhood if I help you, because by helping you, I'm going to destroy the other 250,000 brothers here in Harlem.
Right.
So I can't help you, Bumpy Johnson. At the same goddamn time, I can't ask for help from you, Ishmael. I can't go over to the Middle East and Africa and meet with summits and the Ishmaelites and try to put together a plan for Ishmael and Africans to come together under one united front and defeat the white man.
Right.
Now you can't do that. Ishmael's selling you heroin. That's their plan to defeat the white man. You can't interrupt their plan. Their plan is to destroy you so they can get rich. You can't go to goddamn Africans and ask them to help fight our battle. They sold us to the white man. By simply weaponizing brotherhood, Malcolm X can say, no, Bumpy Johnson, you're a goddamn witch and a scumbag and you need to repent and stop selling heroin. No, Ishmael, you're a goddamn heathen, and I pray that the Most High destroy you and your whole goddamn country for not only keeping my people in captivity for 400 years, but then coming back and selling us heroin.
Right.
Y'all all wrong. Now, Malcolm had the Christian pastor speech down pat. We ain't had to help him with that. You know? Like he could have, like once we rectified those two things with brotherhood, and, you know, we could have just let him loose and he'll, you know, his Christian, you know what I'm saying, his Christian views is already on point. But again, it's a very confusing thing. This is why we are told to ask our fathers, how do we apply brotherhood? Every single murder in the black community is due to lack of brotherhood.
Right.
I mean, goddamn, we only die for two things: women and money. What else do we die for? Oh, Slakia, the occasional, you know, oppressor hatred. You know, but ultimately, black on black crime comes down to two things: you either touch my money or my woman. I'm killing everybody.
Right.
Brotherhood rectifies all that. Now, as you became, we don't look at no woman that, you know, that got another man, that got a man, got a husband.
Right.
That's off limits. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Because we dare not offend another black man.
Right.
It's the only thing to be worried about.
Right.
There's nothing else to be worried about. I spoke to this Christian yesterday. I don't even want to say who it was. Forget about it. But I spoke to this Christian yesterday, man. And when I expressed my views, you know, about Chinese people, they were just so taken aback. Like, wow, how dare you say that about the great people of China? You have any idea where I got this phone from? The Chinese. They were so goddamn offended. You need to be that offended when it comes to black men. Offending a black man should be the only thing on anybody's mind.
Right.
That's the key to brotherhood, man. We got to take that extra step to care for each other. And it's impossible to do that by being involved in witchcraft and the black magic of selling drugs in our community. It is a horrible thing, man. Now that we got past that, let us not forget to spend a significant amount of time to express how much our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
Like, you sit there and look at Bumpy Johnson and think he was the biggest goddamn drug dealer of all time. You know, El Chapo, forget about it. You Google drug dealer right now, El Chapo's face is going to pop right up. Pablo Escobar. That's all we know when it comes to drug dealers. Let me pull something up real quick. Let me see this. Here we go. So we're talking about witchcraft, right? Now, this is witchcraft and cunning craft. Traditionally, the terms witch and witchcraft had negative connotations. Most societies that have believed in harmful witchcraft or black magic have also believed in helpful white magic. Helpful white magic. And these societies, practitioners of helpful magic, provided services as such, breaking the effects of witchcraft. You get this? Goddamn! We're going to use white magic to break the effects of witchcraft. You know, I heard this somewhere before. I heard this somewhere before. Right. You know? I spend a lot of time on the streets. I'm from the Bronx. If you go to the Bronx or down on 3rd Avenue in the South Bronx, you'll see buildings down there. You go over there early in the morning, you'll see a line all the way around the street. What's that line? What is that line for down the street? That's to receive methadone. What's methadone? Methadone is the drug that gets you off. It's the heroin that gets you off of heroin. It's so difficult to get off of heroin, your body goes through withdrawal. So the method they use is to taper you off using methadone. You know, methadone is the potion that counteracts the bad potion, right? Right? Like methadone is the white magic. Right. We're going to give you heroin in order to counteract the heroin. Well, let me tell you something. If you think the black witches are bad, let's take a look at the white witches. Slocky, you have something you want to say?
That's like the saying when people wake up from like drinking.
Yeah.
You got to drink the coldest beer early in the morning.
Right.
To get rid of the hangover.
To get rid of that hangover, right.
We're going back to the same thing. Like,
right.
It's like,
right. So now we're talking about white magic. Listen, I didn't say it. They said it. They said that white magic is the magic that's supposed to counteract the black magic. So if the black magic is the heroin, then the white magic is something else, right? It's a different kind of magic to counteract the bad magic. What's some of the bad things that happen with the bad magic of heroin? What's some of the bad things? Well, goddamn, the bad things is that every time you go out and do heroin, some goddamn cop is going to come lock you up because heroin is illegal. The black magic is illegal. They need something to counteract the black magic. What did they come up with? Let's see. You thought the goddamn biggest drug dealers on the world was the black man. You are sadly mistaken. The biggest drug dealers in the world are not black people from Harlem. the biggest drug dealers in the world are Jewish people from Brooklyn.
Right.
They're called the Sackler family. The Sackler family is one of the richest families in America. Let's read a little bit about them. The Sackler family is one of the richest families in America, donating millions to some of the world's most prestigious museums and universities. But the source of that wealth was for many years something of a mystery. That white magic is a mystery. William Branham talks with Patrick Radden-Keefe, the author of Empire of Pain. So this is the book about the Sacklers. It's called Empire of Pain. The secret history of the Sackler dynasty, to shed light on the secretive dynasty. The biggest goddamn drug dealers in the world are from Brooklyn. They're a Jewish family called the Sacklers. If you go to any of the museums here in New York, you'll see wings of the museums named after the Sacklers. They're big into art, just a big, beautiful family, you know? They're the best, right? Let's read. The Sackler family is one of the richest families in America. All right, I read that part. But sources of that wealth for many years is something of a mystery. The Sackler family, some members of the Sackler family own Purdue Pharma. What is Purdue Pharma? Let's read. The company that makes and markets OxyContin. What's OxyContin? OxyContin is the white magic. Forget about the black magic heroin. You go to jail for that. We got OxyContin. That counteracts that. Now you ain't got to go to jail. The addictive painkiller considered one of the initial sparks of the nation's opioid crisis. A crisis that has already left more than 450 Americans dead and continues today. William Branham talks with the author of the new book. Look, it's a story about a family with a tremendous ambition. People who set out to really leave their mark on the world. Oh, they left their mark on the world, all right. To the tune of 450,000 dead people. All right? And they did know an enduring mark that we're all living with now. But I happen to think that this sordid mark, and one that will be a great and long-standing source of shame. Our oppressor knows no shame.
Right.
Now, you think the Sackler family is downtown in Brooklyn right now just all broken up over all the opioid deaths? You know, like they just can't seem to get out of bed, you know, and shit, because they can't stop shedding tears for the dead opioid victims. Patrick Radden-Keefe spent several years investigating the Sackler family. He's a staff writer for the New Yorker magazine and set out with a new book. That's the book they won over, Empire of Pain. The book starts with the family patriarch, Dr. Arthur Sackler, a man celebrated for his creativity and who first made his name by treating mental illness in the 1940s. Treated mental illness in the 1940s. He was a polymath. He was incredibly brilliant. He worked at an insane asylum in Queens, New York. Well, what's the name of this same? Is that Bellevue? Is Bellevue in Queens? Let me tell you something. Anytime you got an oppressor working in an insane asylum, he's dirty. Just assume that he's in there doing the worst he can do. He had a notion that someday there might be a pill that may help people who were psychotic or schizophrenic or had other affections. And also he became very much a prominent proponent of pharmaceutical innovation of drugs, but then also the pharmaceutical advertising. And many people credit him with really being the father of pharmaceutical advertising in the United States.
Right.
Let's stop right there. We're going to get into more of this, but let's stop right there. Okay? Let's read that again. Many credit him with being the father of pharmaceutical advertising in the United States. What does that mean? Just to give you a little background on this Arthur Sackler cat, right? This was the dude that went around to every single doctor and convinced them to start using early tranquilizers and really potent painkillers to treat pain that was not severe. Why is that? Why is that? Because our oppressor is obsessed with upscaling.
Right.
Just simply selling the drug to people who may need it is not enough. Now we got to go out and find people who don't really need it. Here you are with a minor goddamn back pain. They about to get you hooked on heroin for the rest of your life. Now let's really think about what's being said here. Pharmaceutical advertising. I've worked in advertising for years. All right? Advertising is almost a witchcraft process itself. Like you watch a goddamn commercial, and here you are looking at one thing, not realizing that all the signs and signals and jingles that they're giving you is hitting you all different ways. Next thing you know, you're walking down the goddamn street, and it's, you know, I'm loving it. You got a goddamn Big Mac all of a sudden.
Right.
It's a very crafty profession to be in advertisement. And this dude is credited with being the father of this process. Let's talk about pharmaceutical advertising for one moment, okay? When I was coming up, there were no medication commercials on TV. The only commercials you could find for medication on TV was goddamn Tylenol and aspirin. That's it. You could not find commercials for pharmaceutical medication on TV. Not when I was a kid. Why is that? Because to advertise medication can be a very deceptive process. And then you can end up having people take medication that may end up hurting them. So that's why the laws in the country for a very long time, you could not advertise pharmaceutical medication in a commercial. Then they changed the law. Now the law says you can advertise pharmaceutical medication in a commercial, but you have to visually display and verbally say all the side effects of the medication. That's why when you watch a goddamn medication commercial, they'll tell you how goddamn great and beautiful and wonderful is a black dude running down a goddamn beach. I got my vitality back. And then at the end of the commercial, they go on a goddamn 30-minute rampage about every bad thing that can happen to you for taking a goddamn pill.
Right.
Your tongue's gonna fall out. Your eye's gonna fall out. Your rod's gonna shrivel up. They have to tell you that, concert.
You might not wake up.
Right, you might die. You might be dead. There were laws in place to protect the public from predatory pharmaceutical advertisement. This Arthur Sackler changed the game. He changed the game on that. He changed the game on that. Now, we're talking about our oppressors' witchcraft to sell drugs, right? And before we spoke about enchanters. A part of enchantment is what you always see on commercials. Little jingles.
Right.
Little sayings, they just get stuck in your head. You don't know why. You know? These little things are playing on your subconscious mind in ways that you don't even know. Why is that? Because these are the methods to stimulate spending. You ever get up out the bed, go walk somewhere, come back home, and realize you done spent $120 goddamn dollars? You look in your pocket like, God damn, I just went to Dunkin' Donuts. Right. What happened to all my money? Advertisement happened to all your goddamn money. You walked into the store and saw every goddamn thing that they got embedded in your subconscious mind. God damn, I need a Twinkie. I need a Gatorade. Give me a water. Deer Park. That's the subtlety of advertisement. The pharmaceutical industry can't come out with a goddamn commercial with a singing and dancing bear and a cute little jingle. AIDS medication, you'll love it. Nobody's listening to that. So what do they do to sell their products and advertise? They use goddamn enchanters in hip-hop. You don't remember a goddamn thing they said on that AIDS commercial, but I bet you remember the goddamn Migos, Papa Perkins just get started. You know that goddamn line. Right. I didn't even know what Percocet was until I heard the goddamn song. All they do is talk about Percocets, Oxys, lean, go ahead. Molly, right.
Right.
They're enchanters. You didn't even want to pop Percocets. You listen to the song 150 goddamn times, and then you get something, hey, I got perks. Hey, let me try one. Goddamn, I heard the Migos say it. That's advertisement. It is an enchanter. Go ahead.
Like if I may, I remember when they started doing, they started coming up with the thing, the e-vapes and the stuff.
Right.
With all of that. At the beginning of that they were trying to ban, they had something with cigarettes, like they were trying to ban regular cigarettes. I remember the commercial was targeted as if it was like a what you would call it, like targeted for like the, you know, you had people in the commercial as if it was like for children cartoons.
Right.
They used rainbows and they used
right.
Like, kids in a party.
Yeah.
That's when they were banning and taking the tobacco companies into, you know, suing them.
Right, the tobacco companies, right.
I remember that was like early, like 16, around the 15 or something.
Right.
And they pushed that so I remember, wait, why are they doing a commercial about smoking? And it makes sense because they have the kids, they have, when they go to the store, they have the candy next to the vape thing, right there, in front of the store. Like, they can't distinguish it.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to.
Right. Right, man. That advertisement is really, really deceptive. And it's meant to be deceptive. But yeah, man, it would be foolish. Now, what I just now said about the hip hop music is currently a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy. Right. You know, some people say it. Some other people say that's impossible. The record companies would never be in bed with the pharmaceutical companies to put the names of all of their products in songs. No corporation has ever benefited from having the names of their products said over and over and over again by celebrities. That has to be a conspiracy, right? That ain't no goddamn conspiracy. Whole goddamn rap album is an advertisement for the pharmaceutical companies. Right. You done mentioned lean and goddamn Oxy, Perks, Vicodin. That's the whole goddamn, like that's the whole lineup. Then you sold all the fashion, the Gucci, the Louis. A lot of these commercial rappers are walking, talking, billboard coons. Right. Goddamn coons. Listen, man. It's a disgusting thing to see. And it's a disgusting thing to know that, you know, because think about it. Just think about it for a second. Here's the board of directors having the shareholder meeting over at Purdue Pharma. And now they're going over their profits and everything for the quarter. And they're like, yeah, you know, people with severe back pain, that number hasn't risen in the U.S. It's kind of stabilized. So then we went out and started selling it to people with minor back pain. Now that number's beginning to trickle off, you know? Oh yeah, by the way, over here, we have a whole huge number of young black kids who's just simply popping the pills at parties. They're making up 90% of our goddamn profits. Who should we focus our advertisement budget on? The goddamn cripples with the back problems? No. If we're going to expand into new and exciting markets, then we need to be able to reach this group of young blacks who are hell-bent on popping every goddamn pill they can get their hands on. Why wouldn't they be in bed, you know, with the same disgusting, you know, executives that run the music industry and try to give us every goddamn bit of poison they could think of?
Right.
It's a disgusting thing, man. And so we're gonna get back into this Purdue Pharma because it's important that we understand so that next time when you're watching something on TV or reading something, and our president tries to convince you that your half a gram of cut is the worst goddamn crime that could ever happen when you sell it, even though it is a horrible thing if you sell it to a black or Hispanic, it is nothing compared to the terror that this company, Purdue Pharma, has unleashed on all of us. So let's get a little bit more. Now, and when you look at how back in the 60s, Arthur first marketed and sold early tranquilizers. I mean, in some ways, it follows a very similar template for the accusations that have been found about Purdue in the modern era about how they marketed and sold their drugs. This is what's so uncanny about the story, is that Arthur dies in 1987. He dies before OxyContin is ever introduced. But the game plan that Purdue and the Sacklers used to roll out OxyContin in the 90s is in many ways the game plan that Arthur Sackler invented. So he came up with a real kind of almost madman type series of very seductive tricks in order to try to persuade doctors that they should be prescribing his products. The side effects of the drug or the potential downsides of the drug were downplayed. The therapeutic benefits of the drug were way overplayed. Purdue initially made millions selling morphine drug, MS Cotton, used mainly with cancer patients. After his death, Arthur Sackler's heirs sold off their stake in the company, but his two brothers, Raymond and Mortimer, remained involved. Purdue's real blockbuster came in the late 90s with OxyContin, which contains the addictive opioid oxycodone. Purdue sealed the pills in a slow-release coating, which the company claimed would make them far less addictive. Hey, this is the white magic, right? I mean, yeah, that heroin is just too damn addictive. We gonna throw the coating on there and make this less addictive. This magic beats that magic. All heroin addicts do is take the goddamn coating off. Like, you can have heroin, you know, you keep heroin in the humidity for too long, it goes bad. Heroin ain't no good no more. You take the bad heroin, take the coating off the oxy, crush that up, cut it with the heroin, it's back to life. Goddamn drugs. You think it's a good drug? OxyContin was the savior? It's worse than heroin. this was a hypothesis. I'm pretty sure it was a hypothesis. You were wrong. That they didn't actually have the real persuasive proof for, but it became a signature element of the marketing of OxyContin. Another detail that you report was that the family and Purdue Pharma recognized also that if they were just marketing these drugs for cancer and end-of-life care, that was relatively a small market. You know, we can't just have a small family business that helps people with cancer. We got to expand. But that if you could market these to the masses and make these pills for everybody, that was a huge market. Like that, yeah, like that right there is just the very essence of our oppressor's whole goddamn attitude about everything.
Right.
You know, like our oppressor will be thinking he's doing good. Like he wants to convince himself that he's doing good. Hey, we can just get this to everybody. You know, we get everybody high. This for me was one of the most striking discoveries in the research for this book, as a trove of internal emails from senior executives at Purdue Pharma when they were talking about introducing OxyContin. They talk about this very explicitly. We don't want to niche OxyContin for cancer, is what they would say. And they did focus groups, and they realized that oxycodone in the minds of doctors was not as strong as morphine. It wasn't as threatening. It didn't have the same stigma attached to it. Yo, that right there is our oppressor's every move when he's doing something slick. Anytime something has stigma attached to it, they'll just switch it up, repackage it, reformat it, and represent it. Like some of your favorite companies that you go to every day were some of the most horrible companies that ever existed 10, 20 years ago. You know? Go ahead, sis.
It's like, it feels different. They might, like every year, it's like smaller pill and then bigger pill.
Right. It's all different pills.
Like they upgraded it. It's like upgraded, right?
Right. Listen to this. The crazy thing is, oxycodone is actually significantly stronger than morphine. It's not weaker, but doctors had this misapprehension that it was a weaker drug. Now, it's another trick. Like, I hate when our oppressor does this, right? Like, our oppressor knows how to act just as dumb as he can act when it's time to. Like, you're a goddamn doctor, right? Now, here it is, this multi-million-dollar rich family is coming to you, giving you a sales pitch. They're not just giving you a sales pitch. What they're telling you is start subscribing this so we can both get rich. There's something in it for you. That's what they're telling them, right? So when you read this article, they try to make it seem like, you know, the doctors just didn't know. Like, oh man, we had no idea this was more. Oh, they tricked us. They didn't trick you. The doctors are in on it. The goddamn doctors are in on it. So we see that this is much more potent. And as we go through the story of the Sacklers, I mean, like, I wish I had the time to just go ahead and read this whole entire article, because what happens throughout this process just begins to get more and more outrageous as you read this. Like, the Sackler family was literally smuggling these drugs into the country and got caught. Every goddamn charge that's been brought on Purdue Pharma, they've somehow got out of the way of it. But here's the crazy thing. They're actually doing illegal activity and getting caught. Do you think that they're tunneling through a goddamn tunnel like El Chapo? You think they sitting in prison trying to cut a deal like goddamn Nicky Barnes? No. They beat their charges and they keep on rolling. This is an absolute horrible family who is the biggest biggest drug dealers in the world. Look right here. It's a family saga. It's a story about the opioid crisis and Big Pharma, but it's also a crime story. This is a crime story. This is a company that pled guilty to federal charges in 2007 and then again pled guilty to new charges, but similar kind of claims of fraud about the fraudulent marketing of the drugs in 2020, just a few months ago. And it was something I very much wanted to capture. It may be that we don't end up with a satisfying version of accountability, but let's not lose the sight of what's going down here. And that's what the author is saying. It says here, and the Sacklers have agreed to pay more than $4 million as a part of a bankruptcy reconstruction plan. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, don't every drug dealer wish that they could file for bankruptcy and just get out of all of their debt? You know? Don't they? Don't all drug dealers wish that could happen? You got a question?
No.
Oh, sloppy. Yeah, man. So we see here that the biggest drug dealers on the planet they also practice witchcraft, you know? And I'm not saying that what they practice is actually considered white magic or black magic. Listen, I don't know nothing about no white magic or black magic. But what I'm saying is that our oppressors' excuse for developing these heroin-like drugs was to combat the devastating effects of heroin, right? And we just went over how the devastating effects of heroin come from the activity of witches.
Right.
And so if you have a group of oppressors who's creating a group of drugs to combat the activities of witches, and that would be considered the white magic that we read about before.
Right.
It's all bad and it's worse. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 18 and 10.
Wow. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
Let me tell you something. Heroin dealers cause their sons and daughters to pass through the fire.
Right.
They cause their sons and daughters to pass through the fire. Keep going.
Or that useth divination.
Say it again.
Or that useth divination.
Keep going.
Or an observer of time.
Keep going.
Or an enchanter.
Keep going.
Or a witch.
No, I just do a little black magic.
Or a witch.
No, I just do a little white magic.
A witch.
I'm only sold one bag of heroin.
A witch.
I just got a few oxys.
A witch.
I got some perks.
A witch.
Cut on that goddamn Migos song.
A witch.
They goddamn witches. There shouldn't be found one goddamn witch among us.
Right.
You idolize goddamn Bumpy Johnson, you're idolizing a goddamn dead witch.
Right.
Bumpy Johnson was a scumbag. I said it. The Italian Mafia, forget about it. The Italian Mafia, forget about it. Our enemies collectively came together in order to cut us off from being a nation.
Right.
You know? Right here in Harlem, we could go ahead and take a look at a collection of enemies that have had their hands in our demise. And that also includes the Christian church, man.
Yeah.
You watch that goddamn Bumpy Johnson show, that Christian church was right in the mix. They got a scene in that Bumpy Johnson show that I just couldn't believe. Like, Bumpy Johnson is going at it with the Italian Mafia, trying to, you know, gain his turf in Harlem. He go get goddamn Malcolm X. Malcolm X got a whole goddamn squad of Nation of Islam troops. They come out there, they ready to do battle with the entire mafia. I don't know whether this is true. I don't think it's true. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that we have to realize is that the allies of our oppressors are right here in Harlem. They right here with us. They're your Christian pastor. Your Muslim imam. They're your Malcolm X's. They're your Malcolm X's. Listen, man. Malcolm X ushered in the Africanism movement here in Harlem. You know, like a goddamn, if Malcolm X was here right now, we might as well just send him down to Little Africa. Malcolm X came back from Africa. Suddenly, everybody felt it was okay to be goddamn African. Listen, man, even with our best intentions, if we don't have this Bible, if we don't have, you know, the ISUPK or the Commander General Yohana, man, to properly teach us how to administer brotherhood, then despite all your good intentions, you may very well end up confused. Doesn't it happen to every goddamn drug dealer? You think drug dealers sell drugs because they want to destroy the community? No. Drug dealers sell drugs so they can get their mother out of the hood. Drug dealers sell drugs so they can buy their mama a house. So I can take care of me and my kids. That's why drug dealers sell drugs in the hood. Their intentions is to uplift themselves. You can take any black or Hispanic drug dealer in Harlem right now. Take them right now. And give him $1 million. He'll go out and buy turkeys for everybody in Harlem. That's what Bubba Johnson used to do. That's what Bubba Johnson used to do. Go ahead, sis. Right, New Jack City, right. Right. Why is that? His intentions is not to destroy the whole goddamn community. You know, his intentions is to come up. That way he can save the community, right? That's what he really wants to be. He really wants to be a savior of the community. This is a man who is confused about how to administer brotherhood. Right. He has the zeal. He's just fallen into the destructive path that our oppressor has put before us. That same brother will come right here to ISUPK and raise up a whole goddamn school somewhere. He has the ambition and the zeal to want to uplift his people. It's just so goddamn confusing here in America. It's just so goddamn confusing. You a goddamn gangbanger. You're not a gangbanger because you just want to be the greatest murderer on the planet. You're a gangbanger because you want to protect your brothers. Every goddamn night they coming over here shooting one of your goddamn brothers. You have the intentions and the zeal to want to be a good brother. I want to protect my brothers. So I'm going to go get a gun. I'm going to put a goddamn 200 bullet magazine in it and go out and shoot every goddamn thing that come down the block. Why? Because I want to be a good brother. This is a brother who's confused as to how to administer brotherhood. He's not a goddamn serial killer. He's not goddamn Jeffrey Dahmer. Right. He just don't want them dudes coming over here shooting up this block no more. He's confused as to how to administer brotherhood. Got another brother over here. He see a sister. He just gotta have her. He can't live without her. All he do is think about her all goddamn night. It's a horrible thing to do. And it causes so many murders here in the black community, man. It is a selfish and horrible thing to do. When we learn to put our brothers first, Salakia. When we learn to put the Most High first, man, the law, statutes, and commandments first, we won over what the most important laws are. That brotherhood, man. When we're able to put that first in any endeavor, when your first thought, where's that the beginning of wisdom? Slakia. Fear the Lord. When you put that first, the fear of the Lord is to care for your brother.
Right.
You fear the Lord, you care for your brother because you fear the Lord. You know? Gossip.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10.
Let's get it.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Say it again.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Say it again.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
One more time.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning.
Is the what?
Is the beginning.
Is the what?
The beginning.
It's the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of wisdom. Hence the word beginning. The reason why I'm highlighting that is because you got a lot of brothers who fear the Lord on their goddamn sentencing day before they get 25 to life. The judge is sentencing you. Do you have anything you want to say, Mr. Robinson? I only fear God. Okay, we'll take your goddamn ass to jail for 25 to life. On his sentencing day, he decided to fear God. Great. Now you can begin the journey of wisdom in jail for 25 to life. The whole point is to fear God before you do the dumb thing. Because it's the beginning of wisdom. Don't fear God on your sentencing day. Fear God before you load the goddamn weapon and go out there and accidentally kill innocent bystanders. Come into the goddamn ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. It will be the beginning of wisdom.
Right.
Don't wait until you're in the goddamn shower in Attica and there's 4 dudes with knives standing around you and you want to begin to fear God. Great, no problem. You can begin your wisdom at that point soon as you get yourself out of that predicament. Fear God today. Come knock on the door today.
Right.
Let's administer brotherhood properly in our communities today. Read it again.
The fear of the Lord.
Say it again.
The fear of the Lord.
Say it again.
The fear of the Lord.
We run around fearing the white man.
The fear of the Lord
Keep going.
is the beginning of wisdom.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's where we start.
Right.
Come to me talking about some goddamn Chinese man. We are not concerned about the Chinese man here in the ISUPK. We are here for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians.
Right.
Listen, man. Slack it. Give me righteous and authority. There's going to be a day. There's going to be a day in which there will be no heroin in our neighborhoods. There will be no cocaine in our neighborhoods. There will be no marijuana or any number of foul and disgusting things in our neighborhoods, man. And another thing I should bring out with regards to this Bumpy Johnson thing, because in the UPK, we always tend to bring out the origins of where we learn certain behavior from. And that don't sit well with a lot of our people. You have any idea how many times I talk to a lot of our people and I say something like, you know, white people taught us drug dealing.
Right.
How can white people teach y'all drug dealing? How can they teach you that? Yeah, they taught us that. That's Bumpy Johnson. He said it out of his own mouth. We learned how to sell heroin from the Italians. They taught me how to sell drugs properly and efficiently. Why not? They're the masters at it. We learn certain behaviors from our oppressor. This comes from being envious of what he has. Bumpy Johnson's envious of what goddamn Carlo Gambino and Colombo and Vincent DeGeneres, he's envious of what they have. So envious that he's willing to destroy his own goddamn city just to be able to sit at the table with a bunch of fat, disgusting, sausage-eating, serial-killing monsters from goddamn Sicily. Just so you can sit at the table with a bunch of garbage. So I can read what you got, sir?
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority.
Say it again.
When the righteous are in authority.
Say it again.
When the righteous are in authority.
Keep going.
The people rejoice.
The people rejoice. When our people are in authority, the people are going to rejoice.
Right.
When you go out to 125th Street, when we're in authority, you're not going to see 25 people slumped over in a goddamn heroin slump.
Right.
Keep going.
But when the wicked beareth rule.
Say it again.
But when the wicked beareth rule.
The Italian mafia, say it again.
But when the wicked beareth
The
rule.
goddamn Sackler family, say it again.
But when the wicked beareth rule.
Keep going.
The people mourn.
The people mourn. The people mourn. And that is why we are in mourning.
Right.
Any more on that?
Uh-uh.
All right. Now, we don't have much time left. We don't have much time left. But there's one last thing that we must bring out about this whole drug dealing thing and how it relates to brotherhood, man. Because our captivity, man, just doesn't stop there. It just simply gets worse and worse and worse when we get involved in these certain activities. Now, Slocky, you got that MV not thou oppressor? Slocky. The reason why Bumpy Johnson sold so much heroin here in Harlem is because he envied his oppressor.
Right.
Yeah, sis. Huh? Who, Bumpy Johnson? No, he passed away a long time ago. He passed away a long time ago. You know? But there was a time when you came to Harlem, the only name you needed to worry about was Bumpy Johnson. I don't care who the mayor was or who anybody was. That man ruled Harlem. You know? And I believe his family's still in Harlem. But anyway, Bumpy Johnson sold heroin to his people because he envied his oppressor. Because he envied his oppressor. Read what you got.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
Envy thou not the oppressor. Envy thou not the oppressor. Keep going.
And choose none of his ways.
Don't sell heroin like he sell heroin. Don't be a drug dealer like he's a drug dealer. Keep going.
Verse 32. For the froward is abomination to the Lord.
Slack it, slack it. So we got, go ahead, sis.
Proverbs.
That's Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31.
Now, we got a group of immigrants that came into this country and was able to amass a huge amount of wealth by using Harlem, the predominantly black area of the city, to sell heroin and thus destroy our people. The mafia was then able to use the proceeds from selling heroin in order to take over unions. And by them taking over unions, they were able to, manipulate the economies of cities. They were able to get access to union funds and build businesses, including casinos, and fund many, many other illegal activities, including gambling, prostitution, loan sharking, and every pornography. And then they eventually, in the 80s and 90s, let's not forget extortion. And in the 80s and 90s, they ended up getting into real estate, taking over the garbage industries in New York, concrete, steel, you name it. The Italian mafia used every dime that they made from exploiting black people in heroin in order to gain riches. Yeah.
Construction companies. I worked for least for 2, and I remember something. I bumped into more Italians than Jewish people, and that was like, it was an experience because they talk to Jewish people like they really don't give a damn. They white people like Jewish. So I say I like working here for a certain extension because it was organized, and I noticed one thing: they had control of everything.
Right.
The recycle that came to the building.
Right.
They had a company that was Italian. The people that came in what you call it? The machines they usually bring.
Mm-hmm.
They have machines they're machines they use for certain stuff on the building after they I don't know, they test something with the ground. They own that too.
Right.
So it wasn't just the brakes.
Right.
Rarely they go to someone like the Elamites who breaks. There was like 4 or 5 different companies.
Yeah. Yeah. They took over the construction industry, and there was a time, man, where they were so rich and powerful in this country. It was unbelievable. But then what happened? Somebody tell me what happened to the 5 families in New York? The 5 mafia, La Cosa Nostra families in New York. What happened to them? Nobody knows what happened to them. I'll tell you what happened to them. A man named Rudolph Giuliani happened to them. He was a federal prosecutor here in New York, and he helped comprise and orchestrate one of the great and most destructive instruments ever to blacks and Hispanics. This is called the Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act, known as the RICO Act. What's the RICO Act? The RICO Act is an instrument the government used to take down criminal organizations. Why? Because if I'm the head of a criminal organization, I'm not going to touch money. I'm not going to do business deals. I'm not going to talk on the phone. I'm going to sit back and be insulated from the people who do business. That way the business continues. Giuliani comes along and says, no, we're going to make a law that says if we can connect a certain amount of felonies to any individual criminal organization, then we can take the whole organization down. And that's what a RICO is. And Giuliani and the federal government used this RICO Act to take down the Italian mafia here in New York City. Bravo! Right there. Thank you, Mr. Giuliani, for taking away the Italian mafia. Thank you so much for doing that. Then what happened after that? Let's get that. would be surprised to know that after they used the RICO Act to take down the entire mafia, they've only used it for one other purpose since. And that is to take down every goddamn black and Hispanic in the goddamn country. Every single project here in New York City has caught a goddamn RICO Act. Every goddamn drug dealer, every MS-13, every black and Hispanic that has goddamn rolled 3 dice in a gambling scheme gets a goddamn RICO Act these days. Let's read. This is a paper by a brother that was at Michigan State University. He did an entire paper on this. Let's read this. Although these circumstances raise questions concerning the legality of applying RICO to criminal street gangs, none focus on the troublesome consequences that RICO's applications to gangs may have in terms of race. This article brings some of the consequences to light through the empirical study of RICO gang prosecutions. The brief of federal statutory definitions of RICO enterprise and criminal street gang subject a variety of criminal groups with members of any race to prosecution under RICO as criminal street gangs. But in the study, a strong majority, approximately 86% of all the enterprises prosecuted by RICO was of one or more minority groups, black and Latino. Black and Latino. The same goddamn laws that they created to take down the people who kept us destroyed, they used to destroy us. Meanwhile, the goddamn Italian mafia are all goddamn celebrities. You turn on the goddamn TV, they showing, mafia figures like they goddamn celebrities. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that comes from walking. Like when you walk into the block, everybody got a hood story, and then they bring that up.
Right.
Y'all were doing the same thing the white men were doing, and I'm telling you that based on experience. Because my boy got caught on some stuff he wasn't really doing like that. Like they caught him with some serious stuff. I'm like, how he didn't know the dude he was hanging with was not Puerto Rican. He was just a white Italian.
Right.
That's informant. And caught him, which is like they caught you like you was an Italian mobster with some serious, like they were trying to give him some numbers that he was never going to see the day of life.
Right.
But the Lord gave him some mercy, and he did a couple of years. Now he's in VR. He living better than most of us here in the city, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Listen, man. These, these devices, it always comes down to that. It always comes down to that. You always know in America, despite the best efforts, these things will always inevitably be used to help destroy blacks and Hispanics. Now listen. Should we be selling drugs? Absolutely not. Should we be involved in gang activity or any criminal activity? Absolutely not. ISUPK under no circumstances advocates for any of that. At the same time, we must take a look here. Like, you have brothers that are locked up in a RICO statute, like they were just literally in the gang. They didn't even do nothing. It was just in the gang. Like my first day in the goddamn gang, I got 25 to life. Anything created in this country for the betterment of this country is ultimately used for the destruction of blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, man.
Right.
And we see that with the RICO Act, lock, stock, and barrel. You know what I'm saying? Blacks, Hispanics, you don't need to be involved in gangs. You need to come back to your nation. You know? And this is my message to the gangbangers, no different than my message to the drug dealers. These are brothers who are in search of brotherhood.
Right.
These are brothers who are in search of brotherhood. Word. Come into the goddamn ISUPK under Commander General Yohana.
Right.
It's all we do is brotherhood. A lot of these brothers out here, man, can be mighty men in this truth. And you disgusting Christian pastors and you disgusting fake Israelite groups, y'all destroy these brothers, man. Y'all destroy these brothers. You got a brother searching. He's looking for brotherhood. He has the zeal to put in the work and push this truth. You bring him in and destroy him and discourage him and spit him out on the goddamn streets. We was at camp the other day. Captain Contis, I give him a hand. Captain Contis, I had to console some sister out there during camp who got kicked out of goddamn IUIC. Now she don't know where to go. She don't know where the truth at. They're goddamn destroying our people.
Right.
Listen, man. Y'all brothers out there, like I said before, we do these classes for convicts and for gang members. Brothers in the hallway with a 40 ounce. That's what we do these classes for, our people. We out here with our people. That's what we do this for. That's why we out here in the streets of Harlem, man, for our people. For our people. And this brotherhood is so important. And our enemies who go out of their way to destroy our people, please know you are most certainly our enemies.
Right.
We love our brothers in this goddamn school. We are going to die for our brothers in this goddamn school.
Right.
Let me get that.
God.
Whatever you got, Slack it. It's to die for your brother.
Fine, I got it. God. John chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love have no man than this.
Say it again.
Greater love have no man than this.
Say it again.
Greater love have no man than this.
Yeah, you say you love black people. We got your goddamn abandoned children on 125th Street. Say it again.
Greater love have no man than this.
Keep going.
That a man lay down his life.
Lay down his goddamn life. We're not putting our people on the goddamn streets and leaving them wondering and goddamn confounded. Keep going.
For his praise.
For his goddamn brothers and sisters. That is what we're going to do up in here. We're going to risk our lives every goddamn day for our brothers and sisters. That's it. That is the protocol. You Christians and you fake Israelites are trying to destroy our people, man.
Right.
You going out of your way to destroy our people, man. You worse than the goddamn drug dealer.
Right.
You worse than the goddamn drug dealer. At least the drug dealer can use ignorance as an excuse. You have the goddamn truth. And And now we got to go out here and refix black people after these disgusting groups destroy it.
Right.
It's a lot of work to be done, man. And that's why we're going to be here every goddamn night. I'm going to get up out of here, man. Once again, this is Tuesday Night Brotherhood class. Give it a hand.
Right.
I, of course, am the Mountain of the Most High, Precinct Officer Harya Allah. Once again, live from ISUPK headquarters right here in Harlem, New York. I'm filling in for Captain Katazai. I'm here with Officer Sha'al. Give him a hand. Listen, man, we're going to get up out of here. Y'all about to shout a thumb to the brothers. Y'all shout a thumb to the sisters. Shalom.